tens of thousands of organized teams compete with each other, and it's coming back as an increasingly popular household parlor game for the whole family. And now with electronic gaining momentum, with demand growing for installations in a variety of public places, you could say Larry Hill has scored a ton 80, the dart equivalent of a hole-in-one. In Van Nuys, California, Bruce Page, First Business. Has anybody on this planet not seen this image at least once? It had its origin in a Los Angeles warehouse, home of Westlight. More visual images than maybe any other repository on Earth are resident here. Consider this the global crossroads for the creations of outstanding cameramen and women on the one hand, art directors in search of the perfect picture on the other. Stop and think about it, and there are an enormous number of magazines and publications all over the world of every description with an insatiable hunger for just the right picture to grab you, the reader. And more often than not, they want it now, today. Can't wait for a week to line it up and develop it.
Need like some mountain shots to go with that, some trees for the nice environmental feel.
The chief signalman, as it were, at this crossroads is founder Craig Arness, a master of business administration, you'd think? Quite the contrary.
My major in school was comparative religions, and you don't make a living from comparative religions. So in the course of my traveling, making a living out driving Land Rover tours across Asia, and I did photographs, people saw them and said, why don't you study photography? So I got into photography, and with one single determination, that was to work for National Geographic.
Craig achieved that goal and ended up with a garage full of pictures. What to do with them all was the problem. Make them available to all comers was the answer.
We didn't create the business with the thought that it would be big. We didn't create the business with the thought of making a lot of money. We created the business because we loved photography. We loved visual communications. It was a day-to-day love affair, and eventually we discovered one day it was big.
Oh, hi, Alex. This is Jeff at Westlight. How are you doing? Did you get the transparencies we sent you?
More than 60 employees are now on the team to meet the demand for the millions of pictures they have, the thousands more they add every month. Pictures of everything imaginable, every angle, wide shots, close-ups, people shots to convey any mood.
I get excited when I see a new photograph I've never seen before, and then see someone use it. And that it solves a problem, and then I see more people use it, and I affect a trend. To me, the great joy is affecting graphic trends, having the ability to manage and help photographers produce images that then alters the way in which other people see the world. That's fun.
Yeah, but as successful as Craig is today, wouldn't you bet he sweat bullets trying to grow his enterprise out of his garage?
Well, it's better to say some nights I didn't sleep. Many nights that I didn't sleep and stayed up all night just to do the work because it had to get done.
You gotta wonder if the demands of business make him long for quieter days of capturing the image himself.
I like to go back and photograph twice a year and shoot for a certain period of time, but I don't find it any less creative to do the business.
With technology transforming the world of visual images at an incredible speed in terms of creative possibilities, storage, indexing and cross-indexing, transmitting from here to there in seconds rather than days, Westlight is clearly positioned to be an international industry trailblazer. A far cry from a cluttered, dusty garage. In Los Angeles, Bruce Page, First Business.
Well, I saw Lon Chaney walking with the Queen.
With movies as popular as this one, Hollywood has helped to push pool back onto the center stage of indoor sport. As much as Tom Cruise's cocky character would have you believe sheer genius was what allowed him to pocket ball after ball, he'd likely have given at least some credit to his cue. Certainly most players do.
Sometimes they're tinny and sometimes they're just solid, beautiful. And you can feel the difference, definitely. It's an art.
Well, a lot has to do with weight, balance, the way it feels. It's like somebody driving a old Model T in a Porsche. You know, it depends what you want to use it for. If you want to go slow, use a Model T. If you're looking for a hard, fast game, you go with the Porsche.
The Porsche of pool cues is a Schrager, and the world-renowned master craftsman of the brand, Bert Schrager. In his tiny Southern California hideaway, he toils from dawn to dusk, and sometimes into the night when new inspiration floods over him. No bang-em-out assembly line production here. A blend of exotic woods, minerals, and other precious commodities are his trademark. He and his team of two make only about 100 cues a year. Evidence his heart and soul go into every one. The goal to make his originals as precise and unique to every select client as possible. Oh, come on, you're tempted to say. It's only a stick.
It's true. In Spanish, a cue stick is a taco, piece of wood. But in essence, it's very, very precision crafted. It's made to fit the individual. And in addition to the cosmetics, what you see, it is a finely tuned, finely balanced instrument, a tool. And once held in the hand, surprisingly, you want to become unaware rather than aware. The concentration is on the shot at hand, and the cue is simply a medium, a connection between you and it.
You can buy pool cues for as little as $50. Bert sells his for over $1,000. And some collectors have been known to pay over $35,000 for just one cue. So what makes his worth what some people would pay for a home?
A little bit of Bert's magic. I'm very select, very picky, obviously, about the materials, about the glues, the adhesives, about the time, about the temperature, about the humidity. I think if all things being equal, the most important single aspect in turning out a good cue to me is time.
Rare is the small business without the tales of trial and error. 27 years ago when Bert launched out, his wife's waitress earnings were all that kept them afloat. Lean years by any standard. As Bert says, salad days so lean there was no salad, but...
It's been an experience that I wouldn't change a day of it. With all the disappointment, all the money I've owed when I was late paying bills, you didn't have it. I don't think I would trade it because I treasure more what I have now.
So what advice has he got for wannabe entrepreneurs like you, bursting to blaze your own trail like he did?
Do it. You only live once. Grab the ring and do it. You will never forgive yourself. And to look back and regret is a terrible thing.
If Bert's success as custom pool cue maker extraordinaire is any example, those words are pearls of wisdom for us all. In Van Nuys, California, Bruce Page, First Business. If you've never encountered a robot before, well, meet Newton. Properly programmed, far more than a mere conversation piece, he could save your factory from fire or burglars, or be put to use in dozens of ways. If you want more muscle, well, holler for Big Brother Max.
My name is Max. How can I help you today?
Max has brains and brawn. 200 pounds he can lift with ease. Send burglars on the run by blinding them temporarily. Or be your butler. Go fetch a soda. Even pour it for you. How robotic creatures look and what they can do are limited only by their creator's imagination. This is Peter Mobzazian breathing life into a buddy for Newton. You could write off many small business ideas like this one from ever really making it because the novelty for all concerned wears thin over time. But don't do that with this enterprise because it is driven by brotherly love. And as long as there is breath in this entrepreneur, he vows he'll press on against the odds. Help his quadriplegic brother every way possible is Peter's mission. Sidekick, as he calls it, is his latest solution. Today's Sidekick is helping teenager Debbie Faith, who needs the remote to watch TV. Debbie's handy push-button control of Sidekick will soon solve that problem.
I wanted to give the patient something that they could control remotely from their wheelchair or their bed that could work in the average house to integrate them physically into a physical world. Not something that has to be specifically constructed for that particular house. It's a universal device, an extension of themselves. My concern is not so much the money, but my concern is if I could put an ounce of dignity back into the hearts of these people and give them an element of independence, if I could change that a little bit, I've accomplished my goal.
But major hurdles to get there from here. This is a pre-production prototype only. Venture capital is needed, a manufacturing and marketing team, and strategy must follow. Retailing for around $8,000, does Sidekick have what it takes to help this small business idea bloom into big business? Peter, of course, believes it does, arguing that home care assistants cost far more than that. As for its usefulness, well, Debbie's certainly a believer.
At home, I have to depend on my mom to do everything. If I drop something, she has to come pick it up. With the Sidekick, I wouldn't have to depend on her so much because I could do things on my own all around the house. I can't even get in my kitchen to get a drink in my chair. I could maneuver the Sidekick into the kitchen, get the drink, and come out. So it enables me to do things that I'm not able to do now.
Revolutionary thinking is needed here for this small business idea to have a happy ending. Bureaucrats and decision makers must favor long-term saving over upfront cost. That'd create the market to generate the capital to mass produce the product. Debbie and millions of extra challenged people like her are hoping that happens sooner rather than later.
It's like introducing you to a whole new world. Only difference is the world's electronic, so what? I mean, these things could help millions of people. It's like your own buddy. It's cool.
Come back and see me again sometime, won't you? Bye-bye.
In Santa Ana, California, Bruce Page, First Business. Dreamy music aside, must be something about Dreamland that makes kids thrash about all night long. As any parent knows, there's a fundamental problem when tots shed their tip-to-toe sleepers for pajamas or whatever else. They never stay covered for long. Tuck them in again, and 5 minutes later, same story. Meet a mother who said enough's enough and proceeded to do something about it. Luana Stottinger said there's just got to be a way to keep kids undercover.
I don't sew at all, so I got these large safety pins, and I safety pin all around the bottom, and took some pieces off, added some pieces, and I found out that you needed Velcro instead of zippers, and you needed a snap to support the Velcro, and that's how I was able to figure out that there is a way to keep children covered at night.
The final draft of her creation is a one-piece unit, top and bottom sheets sewn together at the foot and halfway up both sides. Like a sleeping bag, really, but no zippers, Velcro and snaps instead. Kicking room supplied by the baggy but neatly pleated top sheet. An elastic support from one side to the other at chest level keeps little darlings securely comfy cozy. Coming up with an idea like this is one thing, getting it to market quite another. Patent secure? Yes. Retail buyer interest keen? You bet. But can't get orders without pricing, and can't manufacture sleeper keepers without orders. It's a catch-22 faced by many enterprising small business people like Luana, but got good reason to be optimistic, she says.
I've had very good response. There's nothing else out there at all. So they really feel that this is a product that could really fly. It's not just your type of product that's going to be here today and gone tomorrow. There's a need for it because a lot of the buyers do have children, and they can also identify with the problem of mothers getting up at night and covering their children's back up. So I've had very good response.
And if her wildest dream came true?
Every store in America, in Canada, in Europe would have one of these. Everybody would have it. This would actually replace your juvenile conventional sheets.
Whether Luana's dream does come true will depend on who should appear with capital and connections to help her complete her journey. At the very least, Luana's daughters are happy campers. Sleeper Keeper is a reality for them. In Irvine, California, Bruce Page, First Business. The thrill of the hunt, the ecstasy of bagging a bargain. Human nature never fails, and that tells you why this small business idea, started with less than $30,000 20 years ago, has leapfrogged into big business. Would you believe annual revenue now exceeds $150 million a year from its growing base of value-conscious customers? Garage sales have been around for generations, factory outlet stores for decades. What Tuesday Morning did was to take the best of both and see how shoppers would respond.
Hey, I don't understand what my wife likes about it. I mean, to me, I'm one of those go in, see what you want and take it and go, you know. But my wife, I mean, she goes and touches everything and checks every price, and she says, oh, this is a good price. I've seen it for such and such here or such and such there, you know. But, hey, I'm just kind of following her around.
Yeah. So what's the basic formula here? Very simple. Value. Market what'll sell like hotcakes. In one day, out the next. Every retailer's dream.
Our customer generally is a female who frequents high-end department stores on a regular basis, someone who really knows the manufacturers and the quality of the goods that we carry, and the fact that they are half or better, 50 to 80% off. So she gets really excited when she sees something like this.
Could there be that many manufacturers willing to sell off top-of-the-line surplus inventory at cut-rate prices? Oh, yes, indeed. Tuesday Morning claims it buys only 15% of all the goodies name-brand manufacturers want to unload. So purchasing by the truckloads, what a deal they strike. On the other side, could there be that many consumers willing to shell out for what Tuesday Morning bought? Oh, yes, indeed. Even with up to 42% gross margin in between for the store. Customers still think they got a steal, and comparatively speaking, they probably did.
I love it. I mean, I'd like to shop with coupons. My daughter will tell you. It's more for the fun of it, so I have a good time.
I love to shop for bargains, and I like to come back week after week because the bargains keep coming in, and the quality is always there.
Tuesday Morning adds an elusive element for more mystique. Stores are typically off the beaten track, not where you'd expect them, really have to hunt for them, usually in minor malls, hungry for tenants. And then something else most retailers would say is crazy.
We're only open 4 times a year. We're open every quarter for a month and a half to 2 months. We have sales events is what we call them, and each one is themed different to the season of the year.
Talk about anticipation. Tuesday Morning clearly trades on that. With all this success, en route to 250 stores nationwide, wouldn't you think there were some major obstacles along the way?
We really haven't had any hurdles other than handling the crowds, frankly.
Well, Tuesday Morning is based in Dallas, So maybe we'll just chalk that up to a tall Texan talking. In Anaheim Hills, California, Bruce Page, First Business.
Wasn't that fun?
That was so much fun.
Business is booming in this little enterprise, while the boss is kicking back, savoring the spoils of his labor. This was clearly the picture Scotty Tretzky had in mind, but like any small businessman with a dream, he had hurdles to overcome. In his case, no money and no handouts from mom and pop.
So he came to me with this catalog and said, these are all the baseball cards I want to buy. And I said, well, Scott, that's great. How do you propose to do that? Harv and I don't believe in just giving money to kids. There is no free lunch out in the real world, and I think it's never too early to start teaching your kids that you have to work for what you want.
Lemonade stand? Not enough profit. Too much competition. Mow lawns, wash cars? Same story. Also hard work. Pet breeding, perhaps. Thought about it?
Maybe I could sell hamsters, but I said no, they'll eat their babies, and I couldn't buy gerbils because they weren't allowed in California, so I decided to buy mice.
He said he wanted to do mice, and I said, well, that's fine, but you're going to have to come up with a plan. Next thing I know, he has the yellow pages out. He called a few pet shops. He asked me if I would take him there to introduce himself to the pet shop people, which I did.
Jaded adults that we are, we tend to think pet shop owners wouldn't have the time of day for a mere 10-year-old prospective vendor. Not so. Why?
Well, because we started off that way ourselves. That's how we ended up with a pet shop.
Market established, small business loan from the folks to set up shop, research on care and feeding of his critters, and Scotty's mouse business was born. With litters every 3 weeks or so, he's got it. Made in the shade.
I make about $1 for every mouse, and I make about $20 a month, and the food and the water cost about $5, so I make about $15 profit.
Now with 3 breeding pair, he can easily triple that and double all that again if he goes for the retail market first on his own at the park. And what a salesman. Don't sell mice, focus on satin, how soft they feel, what great pets they make. Get your customer involved.
And the difference between this and the regular mouse is that their coats aren't shiny. These are like show mice.
Needless to say, Scotty's dad is one proud papa.
He now understands profit and loss, expenses. Sometimes things go wrong. This month, oh my gosh, the litter was nowhere near as expected, therefore the profit is not as large, and you got to change plans. He understands all of the cute thing built into it is that this little satin mice business has built into it pretty much all of the elements of a bigger business, only on a little tiny scale.
Great oak trees from little acorns grow. You've heard the expression, and maybe this is one of those. We'd venture to say Scotty's mouse business is eventually going to be sold off, but wouldn't be surprised to see this entrepreneur reappear someday with something much bigger. Would you?
What I think is so interesting, too, it really made me see how kids think and how they work. Adults, before they get involved in anything, have to analyze, and they become paralyzed with analyzation as, is this going to work? Is this not going to work? What do I have to do? What if this happens? He just took action.
And yet another lesson learned was when Scott heard a customer's mouse had died from choking on his food. He replaced it without question.
And I thought, wow, customer service. What a great idea.
There you go.
So move over, Donald Trump. A budding billionaire is coming on strong. In Northridge, California, Bruce Page, First Business.